There you see the ladder for this, our fourth ladder series of the season. Our first match with Gary Carrington taking on Scott Bradish. Joe Tavanese, Jeff Surrett, and Sean Baker, three great bowlers waiting in the wings, and we're ready to go with Gary Carrington to lead us off here at Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS TV's Candlepin, Stars and Strikes. Well, he didn't throw a real good first ball, but he got a pretty good first break.
Very nice, leaving a bunch up front with a piece of wood right behind the 2-pin.
Another great crowd on hand at Leda Lanes. Gary missed the head pin. Gary's one of the best. He certainly has been around a long time and won a lot of competition on television, a lot of events on tour, and really has been a great ambassador for the game of Candlepin bowling.
Immensely popular everywhere he goes. Folks love to meet him, get his autograph. 7 WCBC titles. There aren't too many bowlers that have more than 1 or 2. He's got 7 over the years. And an ugly spare leave.
And a 9 box. Scott Bradish was on last January of 2002.
That was actually 2 years ago.
Yep, 2 years ago.
Can't believe it's 2004.
I know. I looked at the 02 and I'm thinking last year, but that's 2 years ago. And he starts off with a mark.
Didn't have a real successful first time on. He was beaten by Hugh Ferguson 351 to 332. Hoping for better luck today, seated number 4, which is not the best position. We've never had a bowler come from the number 4 spot to win this, any ladder, actually.
Which makes no sense at all, obviously.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it means nothing, but it's just one of those interesting factoids that we throw out for you to consider.
And it's 2 marks in a row for Scott to start out.
And actually, there was a tie in the number 4 and 5 spot. Scott Bradish with a 164 in his qualifying round in the roll-offs, beating Gary Carrington, who had 161. So when there's a tie in the total 5-game series, the bowler with the highest single in the preceding 5 games or roll-off will get the preferential seating, which in this case went to Scott.
Gary threw a good first ball, leaving the 7-pin. That wood is problematic right now. Is it up against the pin?
You know, I think it is. Awfully close. I think it goes if he hits it just right.
Yeah, I guess it does. I thought for a second it might be too far out in front.
Could have deflected it off the sidewall.
I guess it was on the pin.
First mark for Gary Carrington.
We'll get to your cards and letters during the course of the match, as we always do. We love hearing from you. Even when it's harsh criticism from Mike Moran, we love hearing from you. We'll be telling you about the Rockin' Bowl coming up at Pilgrim Lanes, where I get a chance to regain my title.
Well, in your dreams, maybe. Have you started working out at Fast Lanes?
No, I'm about to, though. Gary with a 9 box.
Where you will bowl for free and be treated like a king, because you are the great Dick Lutzk.
I am king. Now, Ross Wheeler's always been very kind at Fast Lanes, and we're about to start heading down.
That looks like a 4, huh?
No, it's a 3.
It is a
sleeper
3
in the back, yeah.
Spread eagle with a 9-pin.
The Rockin' Bowl at Pilgrim Lanes coming up February 29th. We'll talk more about that. There's also a Bowler's Bash coming up. 9 box for Scott Bradish.
And it's all to raise money for the kids at Pilgrim Lanes to go to Canada for the International Candlepin Bowling Association's big tournament that happens usually every spring right around March or so. But it costs tens of thousands of dollars to send them up there, so we help them raise a little money. And we're happy to do it.
Scott off the head pin there.
So he's got more sleeper wood, the 5 and the 9 behind the 4 horsemen right side. Interesting approach. Didn't work. You may hear some bowlers' comments from time to time. We have a microphone up at the scoring table where the bowlers sit, Dick.
They have quick fingers in the truck. Six-pin lead for Bradish over Carrington. 4 boxes into the match.
There's a 6 fill. 3, 5, 6, and 10 remain. No wood to help out, but it's not a split either. So you want to hit just a little off center of the lead pin or the object pin, which is the 3, and he missed it almost altogether.
Some of the holiday mail that you sent to us arrived us too late for us to mention it prior to the holidays, so we will do it now. We'll acknowledge a nice card that we received from Corrine and Nelson Heron.
And where are they from, Dick?
From South Berwick, Maine.
Very nice. Candlepin Stars and Strikes seen in how many states now?
All of them, is it? By, whether they send tapes all over the country.
People are sending tapes illegally everywhere, and as soon as you are caught, you will be apprehended and imprisoned.
Prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
That's right.
Unless you have written permission, of course.
For Major League Baseball. So Gary is off on his pinning so far today with only 1 mark to show in 6 boxes. Leaves the head pin, the number 1 pin yet, for a 10.
And a 10 box.
Well, the triple strike jackpot, although we haven't seen anything that resembles a strike yet today, is at $900 for the bowler who can put together 3 strikes consecutively in 1 game. $900. Well,
there's one.
I guess all you got to do is talk about it.
That was a pocket shot. It took no time at all. Watch it again. Scott Bradish. His left to right ball in the 1-2 pocket. And down they go. Looking for number 2 on lane 33. He's not going to get it that way.
And no, Scott, you don't get a third of it, $300. We can't do that for you.
$50 for 3 marks in a row. $25 for each mark after that. He's just going to put 5 in the strike.
Giving Gary Carrington all kinds of opportunities here to come back with a couple of tough fills today.
10-pin lead for Scott Bradish over Gary Carrington.
Should be at least another 10 or 12 pins
Bradish
more.
has 3 marks and Carrington has just 1. Right in the pocket, and there they go.
That's the Gary Carrington that we all know and love.
Gary has 3 children. 2 children. Matt, 21-year-old junior at UNH, studying journalism, and Mike is a 14-year-old 9th grader at Timberlane, and both have been junior state bowling champs.
I think Matt is here today.
Will it go? There's 2.
Well, we mentioned at the top of the show that he hit the triple strike jackpot in the Tournament of Champions in 01 for $1,300, Dick. I'm sure he'd like to repeat that today.
Watch it again. It was the 6-pin that was a little bit reluctant, but finally went. Scott Bradish in the pocket. There they go for Scott.
Well, interesting scenario. For some reason, Gary got 3, and then Scott got 3. Scott would just get $500 because we reset it to $500. Just in case you want to know, folks. Well, we're halfway there to that eventuality. It could happen.
Right on the head pin that time, but he leaves himself a split. 3, 6, 10 on the right, the 4 pin on the left. Run.
That was a good try.
Put 8 in the strike. And it'll be an 8 box. 99. Now this is a $900 shot for Gary Carrington. He's no stranger to the pressure. He thrives on the pressure.
He does. I was just going to say, it brings him to another level. Very aggressive bowler.
$900, Gary Babe Carrington. There it is! Gary Carrington. Watch it again to the Brooklyn side. The 7-pin caused some anxiety, but it did finally go.
One more, Dad. Come on.
$500 for another one?
That's correct. That is correct. $500 for every consecutive strike. We haven't had that happen yet.
You bounced that one. That one got away from him. Gary looks back sheepishly at the crowd.
Yeah. Well, he's already got $900 in the bank. Now he's got a piece of what he'd like to have Paul Willett, our scorer, and Pin Chaser take a look to make sure it's behind the deadwood line, and it is. Still within the light of the deck, so usually that's an indicator that the pin is in fair play. Not always, but often.
Nope. The streak ends at 3 for Marks. And he'll end with a 10 box.
Well, considering he had a 53 half, that was a heck of a finish, Dick.
146 string for Gary Carrington. Scott Bradish tries to finish strongly.
I mean, if Carrington has any kind of a first half, he's looking at 180, but he had a tough first 5 frames, and boy, he went to work from number 6 through 10.
Scott almost got it on the rebound. The ball came back off the back wall, knocked off the rear pin, but not the front pin. And that'll be a 9 box. He's in 108. At the half, he had an 11-pin lead. Scott Bradish did. 64 to 53. Well, we've seen things turn around in a hurry in this game of Candlepin bowling. We know it can happen. $900 for Gary Carrington in the triple strike jackpot. And that's going to be a 7 box to finish on a 115 first string for Scott Bradish. A 31-pin lead for Gary Carrington over Scott Bradish after 1. We're coming back for number 2 right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Stripes. Scott Bradish will bowl first in the second string. He trails Gary Carrington by 31 pins. A 146 for Carrington, a 115 for Bradish. Gary Carrington with the triple strike jackpot. And $900 in his pocket in the first string. And Scott Bradish starts off with a first ball that almost cleaned him up.
This crowd is rowdy. They want to see Ray give away some more of his money today for our bowlers. We'd like that, too.
Now, Scott picked up the spare because the pin was frozen to the 5 pin. He didn't throw a good ball, but he got a break. And he'll start off with a mark as he did in the first string. He started off with 2 marks in the first string. He had 4 marks in the first string, as did Gary Carrington. Gary's were 3 strikes in a row. Scott just puts a deuce in the spare.
A couple of moments, we'll tell you about the 12th annual Bowlers Bash, fundraiser to benefit the International Candlepin Youth Bowling Association's trip to Canada. It's coming up very, very soon. We'll let you get your papers and pencils or whatever you need, or write it on the dust on the top of your TV. It'll be a fun event. Been to it a number of times. You get to meet a lot of the bowlers, just hang out, party with them, help raise money for the kids going to Canada.
We've got a letter from Severio Orlando from East Boston, Mike, and he asks, what happened to Paul Berger, Jeff Atkins, Tom Olsta, Joe Tavernese, Gary Carrington, Steve Plent, and Tim Lipke? Some of the answers we have.
What happened to those bowlers?
Yep, in this latter series, some of them will be answered. Where have they been?
Run down the list again. I'll see how many I can answer.
Paul Berger.
Paul Berger, we haven't seen him around here, so I don't know where he's at.
Jeff Atkins.
Jeff Atkins. He was here in the last year, I think.
He was.
Out in Western Mass.
Tom Olsta was here last year.
Tommy Olsta was here, right?
Joe Tavernese is coming up.
Yeah, you go see him next week.
Gary Carrington, we know where he is.
Yes, we do.
Steve Plant.
Steve Plant is doing fine. I ran into him, gosh, in a store here a couple of weeks ago. He's still trying to get back on the show. Was on earlier this year.
Right, and Tim Lipke.
Tim Lipke, owner of a bowling center in Manchester. He and his wife, Wendy.
Lakeside Lanes.
Lakeside Lanes. Timmy is not as active in the bowling because he's got his hands full with a very successful bowling center. So there you go. We were able to answer most of them.
Gary gets another one. Watch this strike. Watch the 7-pin. However long it takes. The 7-pin's going to just take forever. Stay with it. We'll stay with it. And there it goes. And finally it gets pushed off the alley. And now Scott Bradish with a 9-pin drop on his first ball.
9-pin with some wood in front and to the side.
Wow.
Lucky.
Whoa. His 2 spares. He comes back shaking his head. He knows he's a very fortunate man.
Needs to fill with lots of wood here, as Gary Carrington appears to be ready to go on another tear soon. There you go.
That's a good first ball right there, but he's got a problem here. He's got a definite problem.
That's not good wood, is it?
He's got to play the wood and bank it off the wall and hope that something happens, because that wood is not lined up in a good way for him. Then play the outside. Oh, nice. Great shot. Great shot.
3 out of 4 spares.
He capped the end of that wood just as he had to, and he got it to go in the right direction. That was not an easy shot. Now Gary Carrington. He could use another 500, I'm sure.
Who couldn't? Post-holiday bills.
He threw a good ball.
But a nasty split with no wood to help. It's the 5-10. All you can do really is make a great cut shot with this one.
Look at the intensity on his face. It's the 5. And a 10 box. Gary's always been a good supporter of the Rock and Bowl at Pilgrim Lanes. February 29th this year. He's there every year. The kids love seeing him and hanging around him. He's one of our MCs.
Oh, that's right.
Our play-by-play guys.
He and, was it Bob Kelly?
I think it was.
Jackie Ray's done it in the past. We let the bowlers create the commentary while you and I have our annual grudge match, which is coming up on February 29th. But he, of course, has a smart comment. They get to get back at us for all the stuff that we say during their matches on TV.
Gary's got the 7, the 9, and the 10. There's some wood. He's studying the wood right now and trying to figure out which way it's going to go. Gary knows all the angles. Boy, look at that. That's not the pin he thought would still be standing. But he played it great, didn't he?
Sure did. That's how you would have played it, didn't you?
Absolutely. And a 10 box for Gary Carrington. As we go to the break, Gary has the lead over Scott Bradish when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Scott Bradish working on a couple of spares. 3 marks and 4 boxes to start the second string as he tries to make a run at Gary Carrington, who built up a 31-pin lead after the first string. Scott looking for his 3rd mark in a row and some bonus money. Throws a good first ball. 9-pin drop. The 4-pin still stands.
And he's picked up 10 pins from the 31-pin deficit that he faced starting this game.
And he just got it.
Shakes his head.
Wow. Just got it. I mean, just got it. That's a $50 shot. Watch it again. Just nicked it. Almost not enough to knock it over. $50 shot, 3 marks in a row. Half Worcester.
That's what killed him last string. Was he was filling his marks rather badly. I think he had a 3 and a 5.
He did. Yep. The 5 was in a strike. That's a good second ball. And there they go. 4 marks in a row. That's another $25. That's a great shot off the half Worcester. He played it to the outside of the head pin. And got them all to go. 4 marks in a row, 5 marks in 6 boxes. Gary Carrington tries to respond. Tough shot for Gary here with the 3 and the 4 on the left, 6 and 10 on the right. Oh, he almost made it.
He was the number 6 seed in the Tournament of Champions last April. He defeated Bob Whitcomb and Chris Beauvais, but then lost to Mike Morgan, 395 to 364.
9 box for Gary. A 58 half. He had a 53 half last string and finished with a 146.
But he's now had 3 open boxes against 3 marked boxes for Scott Bradish. So Scott is getting back into this match frame by frame.
And this time he throws it past the head pin and leaves the 4 horsemen on the left side with the 9 pin in the back row. The 1 and the 9 go.
If you'd like to get out for a fun time on Saturday, January 24th, it's the 12th annual Bowlers Bash, the 2004 edition. It's going to be happening from 7 to midnight at Amvets Hall, Primrose Street in Haverhill, Mass. Very close to the bowling center itself, which is Pilgrim Lanes. $30 a couple, $17 to come by yourself. It's a fundraiser benefiting the International Candlepin Youth Bowling Association, their annual trip to Canada. Buffet dinner, music, dancing, door prizes, 50-50 raffle, and a lot of the pro bowlers are there. You can meet them, mingle with them on a social level, and have a great time.
3-pin fill for Scott on his spare, not a good one, and he does not convert, so his string of marks ends at 4.
He really should be leading this match, Dick, at this point.
And a 9 box.
Bills have killed him. If you need information about the Bowlers Bash, you can call Pilgrim Lanes at area code 978-372-5802. Again, that's Saturday, January 24th at 7 o'clock.
Going to take me?
You're already spoken for, aren't you? This may be news to the lovely Mrs. Lutz.
No, but
okay.
No news, but it's something that I think that you and I might enjoy being at as far as putting in an appearance.
Only, Dick, I'll go if you do the Macarena with me.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, think about this now.
I'm big at the YMCA thing, too.
I heard your dance was a Lindy Hop, is that?
Another 9 box for Scott. And a 102 through 8. 5 marks and a 102. Could be a lot more than that. Now Gary Carrington. He's had 4 open frames in a row. He's off the head pin there. 4 horsemen on the right side. The 8 pin's in the back row with a pin in front of the 8 pin. Gary will be open for the 5th box in a row. Our director today is Kevin LaFond. On audio, Alex Kalistoff. Our replay machines manned by Jonathan Barraza. Keith Webb's our engineer. David Lawyer, Larry Haber, and John Elias, the camera crew, making it possible for you to watch the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world. On WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes, there's a pocket shot for Gary Carrington. No doubt about that one.
Crusher.
Buried. Watch it again, right in the pocket, and there they go.
Wow.
Simultaneously.
Brings him back to life after almost a half dozen consecutive open boxes.
Scott lost the head pin. Once you lose it, it's a chore to get it back.
Tell you a little bit about Mr. Bradish. He's the manager of Bay State Pest Control out of Wakefield, Mass. He has a 6-year-old daughter named Brianna and is away from work, and bowling activities include golf and softball, neither of which he's doing this time of year. So it's 112 through 9 for Scott Bradish. 2 years ago, almost exactly to the day, beaten by Hugh Ferguson on his very first appearance on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Like to do the pro tour, but he's just got too much going on and wants to spend as much weekend time with his daughter Brianna as he can. There's the 1, the 6, and the 10 with some wood that should help him out if he hits it right.
Will it go? It's wobbling, but it's standing. So he'll finish with 4 open marks after 4 marks in a row. And a 9 box and a 121. 2-string total of 236 for Scott Bradish. Gary Carrington is already at 232, plus a couple of balls to fill a strike. Nice note from Vin Holland from Brockton, Massachusetts. He and his wife Dorothy watch the bowling show on Saturday at noon, and they have for years. And when they're out of town, they tape it. He bowls at the Vega Club in Brockton. It's a duck pin house.
Oh, my. I hadn't heard of that center.
Thanks for the entertainment. Vin, thank you for watching. You and Dorothy Holland from Brockton, Massachusetts. Nice to hear from you. How many duck pin houses are there left?
Boy, oh boy. Oh, can't be more than a handful of them. A couple in the Chelmsford, Lowell, Billerica area. Didn't know about that one in Brockton.
And that's an 8-box for Gary.
Duck pin is a lot of fun, and I wish there were more bowling centers around to do that. I've always contended it's a great combination of 10-pin and Candlepins kind of rolled into one game.
That's a good first ball for Gary. The 5-pin's going to stand. There's a piece of wood next to it, so Gary could end up winning the string even.
Needs a mark to do that.
He's got the mark. He's at 112 plus a ball. 121 is on the board for Scott Bradish.
So he'll maintain an approximate 3-mark lead going into the third and final game.
Can't say Scott didn't have an opportunity in this string for sure. A couple of marks with very low fills, a 2 and a 3. Gary will put a half Worcester in his mark to return the favor and finish with a 114 and a 2-string total for Gary Carrington, a 260 and a 24-pin lead over Scott Bradish, heading to the third and final string when we return to Lido Lanes in Nashua for the conclusion of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Gary Carrington ready to go. He'll lead us off in the third string. He leads Scott Bradish 260 to 236.
Well, it was the diamond. Now it's just a sleeper. 3 and the 9. He's got a couple of pieces of wood in between the two. So get it right on. He should have it. Oh,
he missed it.
Missed it totally.
And the winner of this match moves up the ladder to take on old friend Joe Tavernese from Lynn.
Been 3-4 years, Dick, since we've seen him on the show. There's your 10. Runner-up today, by the way, gets $200 to take home for their efforts. $200. And as you mentioned, Joe Tavernese awaits the winner of today's match to move up the ladder.
Oh, that's a good ball by Gary Carrington right there. Boy, his strikes have been no flukes. And he's got a lot of them. He had 3 in a row in the first string for $900. Watch it again. And this is in the 1-3 pocket. Now Scott Bradish, he needs to put some marks on the board.
That looked like it could have gone, huh?
Threw a good first ball. 9-pin drop. The 6th pin is staring back at him. And he missed it. We always talk about how easy it looks and how difficult it really is. 10 box for Scott Bradish.
These are highly skilled athletes. The hand-eye coordination is superb when you consider the average man probably is somewhere around 100, if that, on league bowling, and women's somewhere in the 80s or 90s. These guys are always cranking out 120, 130, 140.
Scott off the head pin again.
Both these guys were in the 160s in their roll-offs to get here today. Scott Bradish had 164. Gary Carrington had a 161 game.
It's a good ball by Scott, but he's not going to pick up the spare. So he's open for the first 2 boxes of the third string, and Gary Carrington will pad his lead. 10 box. So Gary will increase his lead from 24 pins. It'll be 24 plus whatever he puts in the strike.
Pro Bowler of the Year in 1993 and 94, which means he outscored everybody in the 6 tournaments. Also has the record for 30 strings of 41-35. Also has the high WCBC record for 25 games at 34-93. Did that also in 1993 and 94.
Gary made the spare and didn't know it. He had turned his back to it, thought he missed it when the back pin, the 8 pin, stood the first time around, and when that wood came back to clip it down, Gary never saw it.
I thought his body English, though, it looked like he kind of knew he was going to get it, but wasn't sure.
Well, Gary's got another opportunity for a mark here and another $50. This is the 3-4-7 with a 5 in the middle. And there they go.
More bonus money. We should mention, if you just tuned in, he had a $900 triple strike episode in the first ring today.
And he's just about put it out of reach for Scott Bradish. Scott really needs to run the table. Well, there's 9. He cannot afford to let any opportunities pass him by. And there's 1 spare.
He's actually thrown a really good ball today. He's had some poor fills and missed a couple spare opportunities, which can happen to anybody. Carrington is on cruise control right now, and he'll probably hit 400 at the rate he's going.
We mentioned Joe Tavernese faces the winner of this match next week. And after that, climbing up the ladder, Jeff Surratt is the number 2 seed, and Sean Baker is number 1.
Jeff Surratt, your Tournament of Champions winner last season. Turns 21 next month. So he's got a wonderful future ahead of him. And he's a nice young man. He's got a terrific family.
That'll be a 9 box as we go to the break. A big lead for Gary Carrington. He's on cruise control heading down the home stretch. And we're coming back for it right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Gary Carrington ready to go on lane 34 at Leda Lanes. He's working on a spare, working on 3 marks in a row. Trying to get more bonus money, trying to pad his lead over Scott Bradish. Right on the head pin. Can he break up the split? He cannot, but he's got some wood out there that might help him out.
All the armchair quarterbacks discussing how they would shoot this.
Like to get in touch with us, our email address, bowling@WNDS.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also send us regular mail to WNDS TV 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038.
We must have some email that we can be sharing here at some point.
10 box for Gary. I've got some emails actually that have carried over from the last time, and some new ones.
74.5 for Gary Carrington, who now faces the 4 and the 7 with a piece of wood lining up pretty good for him. He'd like to be a little bit more square to the plate, but this is actually pretty good wood. Spoke too soon, huh? As all bowlers know, it may look good, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way for you. Just a 9 box for Gary Carrington. It's in pretty good shape as it is. One, 2, 4, and 9 for Scott Bradish. Piece of wood behind the 4-pin. Not really a big help, I don't think. Well, it could have been. Everything but the 9-pin. "20 years bowling, starting when he was just 8 years old. So picks up a 10 box in the 5th.
Ed Stickney from Bedford, Massachusetts sent us an email, watching bowling faithfully every Sunday. It's sure nice to see the old-timers as well as the newcomers. It's great to see the youngsters coming along. Ed, we agree with you 100%, and thanks for watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV.
These are the old-timers of tomorrow, so enjoy them, savor the moments in their youth, and stay with us and stay with them as they become older, more seasoned professionals.
A mark for Scott Bradish. Here's one for you, Michael. You're the keeper of records and knower of all things related to Candlepin bowling. There's a shot for Gary Carrington and leaving a very solid 7-pin. Dan Budzinski Don't know where Dan is from. He sent an email. Have any records been kept on the earnings of some of the top Candlepin bowlers over the years? What could a competitive top bowler earn in, say, a year or over a lifetime?
Well, as a matter of fact, I can read the response that I wrote to Mr. Dzinski.
Oh, you did already? You wrote
Dzinski, yes. I'll just read what I wrote here, because I'll probably forget what I actually wrote. There's not a lot of money out there to win. I think a lot of people realize that. A bowler might earn up to $4,000 on our show during the course of a year, possibly another couple thousand or so on tour. Other tournaments can add to that. Winning the other cable show can add a fair amount as well. Probably the average pro bowler makes well under $1,000 a year, and that includes many pros that you've never seen or heard. Not a lot of money out there. Our show is one of the major providers of cash, thanks to Lita Lanes. They've certainly thrown a lot to the kitty as well. So
they have their Easter Sunday tournament, which
that's
is
true.
a big money
that's
tournament.
That's a $5,000 first prize.
Are there any other big money tournaments out there put on by any of the other houses?
Locally, none that I'm aware of, Dick. If there are any others that we could share and pass along to other bowlers and viewers, we'd be happy to do that. If you know of any big money Candlepin tournaments, send along the information to the email address Dick just gave you. bowling@WNDS.com.
You know, they have the annual event with the Canadian teams that goes from the United States to Canada, alternating sites. Scott puts a 9 in the mark. Missed it. Now, how many of you thought he was going to miss that shot with the wood set up the way it was? And he missed it again. We all thought that was going down.
Now, of course, 10-pin bowling is another story, Dick, but it's a national sport. It has national coverage on ESPN. It has national sponsors. And that's something that Candlepin bowling has never had. We all love the game here, but we're the only ones, this part of the country and the Canadian Maritimes. That's it.
We ought to get more national sponsors on this show with the strong ratings it gets week after week. $9 for Scott Bradish. The lead is 40 with 2 boxes to go. For Gary Carrington, who looks ahead to Joe Tavernese. Gary with a strike.
How many has he had today? I figure 5 or 6 anyway.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one was a little bit slow motion.
Love tab.
The 4-pin was last to go. Looking for 2 in a row. This one's almost a spread eagle. He bounced it a little bit at the foul line. Almost made the shot. He's at 137. 138 for Gary Carrington.
Just missed 400 by 2 pins.
398 triple. $398 and $1,000 in bonus money. $900 for the triple strike, $50 for 3 marks in a row, another $50 for having the high string in the match. And a $9 for Scott. Scott finishing out here with a mark possibility here with the head pin and a lot of wood surrounding the 6, 9, and 10. But he missed the head pin. So he will be open in the 10th frame, and he'll finish up with a 10 box and a 112 and a 3-string total of 348. A 50-pin win for Gary Carrington over Scott Bradish. Gary Carrington advances to meet Joe Tavernese next week. We will return for the conclusion of our program right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Gary Carrington defeats Scott Bradish. The final score 398 to 348. And Scott Bradish is here. We'll do some handing out of the money, $200 for being the runner-up, another $75 in bonus money. What's going through your mind when you're watching your opponent put 3 strikes together for a $900 paycheck?
Yeah, you know you got to step it up a little bit, and my Phil's killed me today.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Carrington's buying lunch, right?
Yeah.
Nice chunk of
lunch
change
for the next week.
$900. I know you're a pretty busy guy. You got a 6-year-old daughter. Any intentions down the road of becoming more active, perhaps on the pro tour?
Hopefully, maybe when she gets a little older and I got more time.
Sure. Is she a bowler? Have you taken her bowling yet?
Yeah, she has fun right now.
Yeah. That's what it's all about, right? We sometimes forget that.
I know.
Did you have fun even though you didn't do as well as you'd like today?
Of course. It's a big challenge to get on.
There you go. Well, you did it. We hope you'll come back.
Scott, thanks very much. Scott Bradish, our runner-up here this afternoon. And now Gary Carrington. We're going to do the new format we're doing. Michael is going to pull a card out of the box, and then Gary will try to match it with, and we'll try to hand out some money to a viewer at home. $30 is in the bonus ball jackpot right now. And this is Mrs. Aurora Paradise from Winchendon, Massachusetts. And she wants Gary to get a 7. Gary, a 7 on lane 33.
Let's see how good you are, Carrington.
$30 in the bonus ball jackpot if Gary Carrington can put a 7. Otherwise, it's a consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. So there goes Gary Carrington. Will it be a 7? It will be an 8. So the consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. Gary, come on over. Come right between us.
Maybe he'll share some of that $900 with that viewer since you didn't make.
Scott says you're buying lunch.
I'll buy Scott lunch, sure, no problem.
You've done this before. You used this triple strike jackpot. No stranger to you. We were talking about the fact that for some people it might be a pressure situation, but for someone like Gary Carrington, you thrive on that type of pressure.
Yeah, I like the pressure, yes, but it's not easy to throw a triple. But when you get the double, I don't know. I'm thinking triple all the way. You know, get right in there, throw another one, and it happened. It was good.
Seems you started a little bit slow, had trouble putting any marks together, and then, man, something kicked in. You put in the 3 strikes, and you were off to the races.
Yeah, my first ball came alive. I had more strikes than spares. I usually don't throw that many strikes. It's a lot of spares and everything. That's what keeps my average up, and I'll take that first ball anytime.
You say your first ball came alive. When it's not alive, what do you do to try to get it alive?
I move a little bit left, maybe up a little bit. That's all, you know. I just try to move around a little bit, and sometimes it works.
Well, you got an old friend coming up next week. When's the last time you teed off against Mr. Tavernese?
I bowl against Joe a lot. We're on same leagues and everything. We bowl against each other. He's tough. He's an awesome bowler. He's been bowling great, and I know it's going to be a tough match, so I better be on my game.
$900 for the triple strike jackpot, $50 for having the high string in the match, another $50 in bonus money, a $1,000 payday, and you're back again next week. Gary, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
See you, Gary.
Gary Carrington will be joining us, and up the ladder we go.
That's right. Joe Tavernese next week, and then last year's Tournament of Champions winner, Jeff Surratt, 2 weeks from today.
That'll do it for us. For Mike Morin and our entire crew from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, I'm Dick Lutz. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, when you and the kids are looking for something to do, why not go bowling? We'll see you next time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes.